This programme features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
What a beautiful afternoon to start with the nursery head of the impalas. You can see they are all right looking at me at the moment. A very, very good afternoon, and most of all, welcome to the beginning of the afternoon safari. This is Sydney Pumulani Mikosi, and I'm traveling with Senzo, who is my camera operator this afternoon. We will try by all means and get you see all these interesting animals this afternoon. But while doing that, we will appreciate if you can send us your questions and comments on Twitter, #SafariLive. My plan for this afternoon is just carrying on from previous. I will be looking for the Avocas, as I left them somewhere deep in the block earlier this morning. So getting back to the nursery head of the impalas here, you can see that these little ones, they are not feeding at the moment. They must be tired because they are still young. Only the adults, I can see them feeding. They are just walking around now. And if you look at the hairs on their bodies, they raise the hairs in order to overcome this kind of bad weather, as it's overcast and it's chilly a little bit at the moment. All these impalas we are seeing here, they are approximately one month, 2 weeks old. So the first impala I saw, it was by the 16th of November 2018. And now we are talking is beginning of January. So those three stripes you are seeing there are part of the anti-predator. Oh, the dung beetle. Hey, I saw the dung beetle was just flying there. So it's trying to detect maybe some of the scents. So that dung beetle, I can see it somewhere. It went past again on the ground. So I was happy to see the dung beetle there. Let's quickly cross over to David by the Maasai Mara.
A very good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Mara Triangle. And I'm not sure Sydney looked like me. I look a bit different because my name is David, and on camera with me today is Bungay. Bungay, good afternoon. Very good. When Bungay does this, it means lions. When he does this, it means cheetahs, correct? I don't know what I'm talking about, but very happy to have you on board this afternoon from the Mara Triangle in Kenya. As Sydney told you, questions, comments, keeps us going, especially this new year of 2019. Rather warm today. I mean, 29 degrees Celsius and about 85 degrees Fahrenheit. And that tells me we might have some rains much later tonight. Not before we finish the show. Much later tonight, we might have some rains. Now, my plans today is to look for lions. Lions and nothing else. Now, I told you when Bungay does this, it means lions, and when he goes this, it means cheetahs. Now, we want to try and find out whether this is correct or is not. Because early this morning, I was driving around this area and I saw some lions from a distance, and I think they have not gone anywhere. They could be in the same spot they were. The only difference is, because it's rather warm, as I said, it's over 80 degrees Fahrenheit, they could be flat. And if they are flat, what I will do, I will spend about 10 seconds with them and keep going. But in the meantime, let's first go to Tristan to say hello to all of you and come back to me soon.
Indeed. Hello, everybody, and good afternoon, and welcome to, well, it can only be described as a slightly chilly day here in the Sabi Sands. It's still quite cool today, but, well, it's going to be a good one, I think. I've got good hopes. This morning was dire and it was rainy and it was cold and wasn't very good. And so I'm hoping this afternoon is going to be a lot better. Now, as David mentioned, my name is Tristan, and on camera I have got David, the other David actually. He's still got his injured wrist, but is getting better apparently. So you'd all be very happy to know that the rest David had this morning in the sleep-in means his wrist is now in much better condition than what it was yesterday. So we're all good. He can still use a camera just fine though. Exactly. We are all relieved, and we're all very thankful that David is alive and well and that his wrist is not killing him. Right, now we've got a very over-eager, rather hungry little wildy that's suckling away there at the moment. You can see it's kind of, often what they'll do is to stimulate the flow of milk, is they'll actually kind of headbutt their mother's teats, which can't be very comfortable at all, but they do it, and they do it quite quite hard. And like I say, I don't think it must be comfortable, but I suppose it gets the milk flowing, and that's good. What's unfortunate is, and I'm a bit sad that I wasn't here during the sort of December period, because one of my favorite things to do is follow this wildebeest herd around in December, because obviously they have their little ones, and that means that you can get an opportunity to see the little birth take place. But I'm very surprised at how few little ones there are. Now, I want to know from you guys, was this herd seen a lot in December, and was there more than just the two that are currently here? Because it seems like there's only 2 little babies, and that would mean that a lot of the females then didn't have young, or they've been eaten already, which is very sad. So I wonder what it is, because none of them look like they're pregnant. But Emma is saying to me she thinks there was only 2, and well, it's quite sad. Last year we had such a boom. We had quite a few that came out, and I don't know why there would be only 2. I would imagine that, most of the females would have gotten pregnant and would have had, little ones, and so maybe they just had issues with late rain that caused stillbirths, or they abandoned their calves. I don't know. It is an interesting kind of tactic. What's also very cool is you notice with these little guys is how much lighter they are in color. It's always quite a distinct difference, and you can see that they are very, very, very light for a specific reason. And probably the best example of this is if we go to the right, David, there is an adult that is lying down. You see it lying down there between the 2. And you can see how that dark coloration really stands out. But just in the foreground is a little baby that is hiding in the grass. And you see that lighter coloration blends in that much better and makes it much harder for a predator to spot that little one in the grass. And so it's going to blend a lot more. Once it starts to develop and its legs start to get stronger and its body is stronger and it's able to then run, so it starts to change color, and therefore it can, evade predators, and it's much easier then for it to survive. And so very clever tactic. And you'll see this in a lot of antelope species. In sable, you'll see it in these guys, you see it, I suppose, in waterbuck. They're much lighter as well, and then there's a few others too, buffalo, where they'll have these lighter colored calves to the adults. It's very, very cool to see. Now, why I am in this particular area at the moment is because I'm trying to look for some ellies that I heard when I was walking around earlier, and so I'm hoping that I'll find them fairly quickly. In the meantime, though, Sydney, well, he's been very successful in finding some light colored things that would probably eat this light-coloured wildebeest.
So when seeing this signature dance, you know that something is happening. Not very far away from here where I am, I can see that I do have a fantastic sighting, and these lions are very much far deep in the thick bushes. I spotted them from the road, the 2 Avoca males. So this is what I have been looking for since this morning. So they were deep in this block. They are still quite in the middle of the block, and there is no much big space between them and the Buffalo's Hook. The possibilities of them crossing to Buffalo's Hook later on, they are very much high. So you can see where they are facing now is the side of the Buffalo's Hook. So we are going to have a beautiful sighting. I will try by all means and get in the middle of the block. Giraffe girl, this cat dance is associated with a song. This song, I adopted it from one of the viewers. Long live the Avocas, long live. Long live the Avocas, long live. Long live the Avocas, long live. You can see there now that the Avocas, they're waiting for me to come closer. I'm going to try and get there. It will take me time because they are in the thick bushes. Let me just show you how the bush is like here. From here where I am, you will see that they are deep in that bushes. So I'm going to have to work it out and see how I'm going to get there. So now let's quickly cross over to David. Oh, David has got also the lions. Competition is tough.
Very well done, Sydney, for having seen the Avocas. And if I'm not wrong, the Avocas are or have been 3 strong males. And I hope they're 3, just like my 3 but youngsters here. So I got 3 youngsters here, 3 young males. And that reminds me of the Avocas. Now, I told you as I was coming here, I could see them from a distance. They looked very sleepy. And because they're sleepy, they're flat, I don't want to get infected by their flatness or by their sleepiness. Now, this particular group of lions or pride, belongs to the Olololo. Olololo. So Olololo, when together, unlike the Avocas that are 3, or a coalition of 3, they are 16. Now I want Bungay to pan a little bit to the left, and when it pans to the left, you're going to see 2 of them there. We won't be only able to see 1 right there. Thank you, Bungay. So there's 1 we see there, and on the other side, when we got here, there was another that was having his head on top of that one. So those are 2, and I'm sure Bungay will come back to the 3 that we had. We want to do a quick count before we leave this lions, and it's a 3. That makes 5, and then Bungay will swing over my head to my right. My head does not look as good as the lions. I apologize. And there are 2 more, so that makes 7. And way there somewhere, there's an 8th one there. And thank you, Bungay. But now, honestly, 8 lions and all sleeping, I do not know what they mean. And because they need to enjoy their nap, I want to leave them enjoying their nap, and I need to move on because my big plan today is to look for another pride of lions that I call the sausages. So I have to let the Olololo sleep, tell them to have a lovely afternoon, but maybe on my way back I might be catching up with them. If I don't, I'll see them tomorrow. Bungay, do you agree with me? So you remember when Bungay did this, that meant lions. He said, this is cheetahs. Now let's see what that might translate to later on in the day. And again, as we have said, this year, give us more questions, more comments than last year, 2018. Sounds good? All right. I'm going to hit the road. The sausages are quite a distance from where I am. Could be anything 45 minutes, 1 hour. And why I'm thinking to get to the Sausage Republic is because with them, or in that pride, there are 3 small little cabs that I like seeing every day. In the meantime, I'll take you back to Tristan, who is looking for maybe different cuts.
Well, David, good luck. I hope you find the sausages. I know they can be tricky to find. There is a tiny, tiny little newborn Impala lamb. Now, that little one can only be what can be described as a few days old. In fact, I would say that it's probably only been born in the last day or 2, given that this female is separated. And look at how small it is. It's still a bit wobbly on its legs. It might have even been born during the course of the night or the early hours of this morning. It's still very wobbly. And we saw earlier today a battalier land very close to where I am at the end of drive, and it was eating something, and we went there, and there was definitely a disturbance on the ground, and it looked like maybe there was something that had given birth there, and so maybe this was that little one's afterbirth that it was busy feeding on and trying to kind of eat there. And so, still very, very tiny little one and super cute. It's so nice to see little Impala lambs. Obviously, up in the Mara, the Impalas give birth at any time of the year, and so you don't get to see the little ones nearly as much. There it is again. We can just get a little gap through the vegetation of this tiny little one. Look, there we go. And it's also nudging to start filling up that tummy. You can see how it's all just legs and neck at the moment. The little body is still tiny, 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 tiny. That's very small. Rosemary, you say stay safe, little baby. Yes, it's going to have to work hard because you'll find that Hosanna cat will probably love a little baby Impala, as would Tingana. Both of them would probably eat that in a heartbeat. And the thing is that, you know, when they're still small, especially that size, and they're separated from the herd, they are unfortunately very vulnerable, and so it'll have a lot of work cut out for it. The good thing is that it's on the edge of quarantine, which is nice and open, which is going to make things a lot easier for that little one to spot, well, not that little one, it's little one's mom, to spot predators, as well as being close to the wildebeest that have very good eyesight as well. So it's in a good place, and if they can rejoin with the herd and get part of the nursery group, well, it's going to be a lot easier. The one thing that little one's going to have to really hope is that the wild dogs don't show up, because if wild dogs show up here, that one is in serious trouble. They'll go after that in a heartbeat. The good news, though, I suppose for it and not so good for us, is that the wild dogs yesterday afternoon, well, James is exactly what I was going to get into. So the wild dogs yesterday afternoon, we went looking for them, obviously, and then we got sidetracked with Tingana and Tundi, which I don't think was that bad, but they eventually ended up coming out onto Triple M, pretty much where we were looking for them, and they milled about, and the guys left them at sunset on the road. Now, I believe this morning they were found, well, they were seen at about 12 o'clock this afternoon up near Hardekool, which is in Buffelshoek, quite close to the Manuleti boundary, and they ran all the way to the east, and they were left lying up at an area just off the K&P boundary. At a little pan there, so they've gone a long way from here, so the chances of them coming through here today is probably quite slim. You never know though what can happen during the night. They could turn and then come back this way, but for this afternoon I don't think so. You can never write off wild dogs, obviously they move a long way, as you know, James, and so it would be foolish to write off a fact that you could see a sighting. There's also a random 4 that are being seen in the west of the Sabi Sands that were seen in Manyeleti, and then they've been seen down to the west, and I believe this morning they were running kind of back towards Ottawa, and so they could cross also through, and you never know, but they don't know who they are. There's a female that's got quite a big lump over her left eye, which is quite interesting that you can recognize her. So I don't know which pack that is. The guys don't know her at all. I mean, don't know that pack at all down in the sort of western sector of the reserve. So we'll see where they go. But there's always a chance for dogs in weather like this. Is always good weather for wild dogs. I find, and Rexon agrees, is that when it's overcast and cloudy, for some reason wild dogs tend to just start coming out and you tend to see them. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just random coincidence that you see them like that. Good. Anyway, we're going to meander along, see if we can find these ellies. And we're also going to go kind of scratch around for a spotty cat. In the meantime, though, back to Sydney, who seems to have gotten a little closer to his lions.
You can see that one of the Avocas here with me is looking very much tired. Oh, one is walking up there. I can see the other one is walking right in the middle of the bushes there. Maybe he's going for something much more that side. So I can see that now this Avoca we are looking at the moment is looking very tired. Look, now he just decided to prove me right. You can see that he's lying down now, and the other brother went much more towards the western side. So perfect timing. We saw him at least up and running, and I am curious about the one walking that side. So you can see this male has got a very beautiful mane. The hairs, they are looking beautiful. So the females, I can promise you, they are going to be interested on this male. So females, they also get excited the most when seeing these lions with a very big male, because the very big mane, it does exaggerate their big body size, and females, when seeing them, they just think about their little ones growing more like that. Lovely. So you can see that they are not that very hungry at the moment. By looking at the stomach here, I can see this lion is still having something by the bellies. As I indicated earlier, I am live from the western side of the Greater Kruger National Park, Sabi Sand Djuma Game Reserve, and I would like to cater for your comments and questions. Send us those questions and comments on Twitter, #SafariLive. Yeah, this is quite a beautiful boy. The Avocas are just about 4 years old. But if you look at their size at this stage, you will see they look very much bigger. So that the time these other males will be right in order to challenge the other males for territory is going to be interesting. Safari Sally, the Avoca boys, they have got a very big territory. In terms of the kilometers, it's quite very much difficult to tell. Why? Because of the following. The Djuma Game Reserve, where we are now, is not fenced, and is consisted of other private, their territories consisted of Djuma and other privates nearby. So these animals, they go to the areas where we can't go. So their territories are much larger. That is the honest answer I can tell you. It's much larger because they've got an access to roam around and also trespass to the other neighboring territories. So they are not like centralized only in Djuma. They are moving around here. And if you can check the size of Djuma plus the size of some of the territory of the neighboring farms, you will see that together, combined, is quite a big territory. Nico, specifically, I am not sure if Avoca's, the name has got a meaning, but I know that most of the prides here in Juma and around the Kruger National Park, they are named according to the reserves where they are occurring. Like you will have a name, let's say the Juma clan. When we're talking about the hyenas, is named after Juma, just like that. So most of these prides, they are named also according to where they are occurring. So I have seen a board outside the reserve, very far towards the nearest town, which says Avoca Game Reserve. I don't know if this name derived from that kind of a game reserve, but I've got to find out. I will ask those who has been here much longer than me. So now I have got the second one. He is looking beautiful. Look at that. This is a beautiful young male. Look at his positioning there. He's so very much inquisitive. This one looks a little bit much younger than the one we saw. Look at the hairs. Every time we see these avocas, he is the one always inquisitive, and he doesn't want to socialize a lot. You can see he's listening to something here. So this lion has got a very beautiful eyes. So this one is going to charm all the females. The time he is going to be right for breeding, there will be problems here. The females will start to rearrange their decisions. They will start to arrange some of their decisions involving some of the Avoca males here. There will be problems. You just have to be careful. Some of the males might try to chase him out of the territory because of being preferred the most. You can see there, look at that. He's so beautiful. So you can see those whiskers there. So those whiskers are not very much large here. The whiskers help these lions when they're navigating at night. So when they're foraging at night or when they're hunting at night, you will see they use the whiskers, they vibrate, they use them in order to detect the space in between the trees and also to detect who is coming and at what distance. You can see the ears has got quite a lot of hairs, but still they can hear very well. You can see that here by the left eye, he's got a kind of a small circle which looks like a mouth bite. I'm going to use that to recognize this lion in future. Let's cross over to David.
Very good, Sydney. I'm not sure why every time I'm talking to Sydney, I remember when we do school drives with him. And when we do school drives with Sydney, I'm always engaging him that we make sure we show the kids the Big Five. And I'm talking about the Big Five because I just saw some ellies from a distance. And I thought it would be very good to have a look at these ellies, as much as my destination is to go look for other lions somewhere else. But I think it's nice to see the elephants in the savannah. I'm not sure Tristan earlier was looking for elephants or for some sort of cats. And I know when Tristan moves around, we have already given him the nickname the leopard whisperer. That's very good. And having done some lions, now let's do some ellies and wait for when the schools program will come back. And I'll always put Sydney on the challenge to give him pressure to get the Big Five for the kids. Elephants feeding almost every other minute, when food is available and when it's not very hot. As much as we started over 80, definitely it must go on a little lower. And you can see that cow with her calf following her behind. And definitely, I'm sure the calf is learning a lot from mama on what to feed on and what not to feed on. I always wonder when these ellies will tell or how or which formula they use to tell the young ones what not to eat and what to eat. And that particular cow, yes, she is massive. And I'm wondering whether the one behind her is her calf, because to me, unless, she got just a huge belly, I would guess she is pregnant. And you notice they're not flopping their ears a lot because the temperatures, let me say we got some nice cloud cover. The temperatures might have lowered a little bit, but we got some nice cloud cover, which makes it easier for them. That baby is so tiny, and you can see how tall the grass has become. And the reason for this is because we have been having some very heavy rains for the last few weeks, until maybe yesterday when we got some showers. The rains had stopped, and the grass here just shoots very quickly, because I would say 3 weeks ago this grass was very short where we are now, but you can see it's almost the same height with this baby elephant here. Not sure when this elephant got her tusks dirty, because most of the ellies here were washed by the rains that have been going on. But again, if they go wallowing or they go digging for stuff on the ground, then their tusks will very quickly pick up the black cotton soil, which is the biggest soil here in the Mara. When we look at the soil chemistry, the black cotton soil makes the biggest percentage of the soil composition here. We also got a bit of red clay, but the black cotton one has the biggest percentage. Beautiful background there of the torchwood trees, making the Mara pretty good. The landscape, it's very unique. Let's very quickly go to Tristan.
Tricky. Well, of course it would happen that the bird would fly away as we were trying to show it to you, but I got excited for a second because I thought it was a classes cuckoo, and I know that many of you are looking for the classes cuckoo and trying to get it on camera, and you must have just seen a blur as it kind of flew away. Now, it wasn't a classes cuckoo, unfortunately, it was a Diedrich. It's just in this kind of grey light, it's quite tricky to be able to sort of see the difference from a long distance. It was only once the camera was on it, but I'm going to just bring up the birds that we're looking for. Alright, so these are not very good photos. I think let's rather use the actual things. Right, so that's the classes cuckoo, the male that's quite easy to identify. Very, very rich white chest area, beautiful greens or emerald greens on the back. The female slightly different. She's got a bit of barring on her with a little brown head, but that little white eye stripe. Now, the other kind of cuckoo that we can confuse it with, which is, come on, there we go, the Diedrich. So you see the Diedrich slightly different. It does have a white eye stripe, but it doesn't kind of extend. Well, this one extends past the eye, whereas on the classes it doesn't extend past the eye on that side. You can also see on the male there's that barring. Now, that particular bird there was a male, and it had this barring on it, so it was a little Diedrich male. Unfortunately, I was hoping a classes cuckoo, and I know, James, you were asking me a question just now about wild dogs, but that's a bird that you've been looking for. Has anyone got it on camera yet? Do we know, James? Have you seen it yet while I've been away? I mean, I don't know, maybe Steve or Sydney or somebody has got it on. So it'll be interesting. I mean, maybe you guys can let me know. Have we got a classes yet? Because they are around. I haven't heard them much this year, but they are beautiful, beautiful birds. And you hear them a lot, but very seldom can you see them and get them on camera. Cuckoos, particularly those, the Diedrich and the classes, tend to be quite flighty, and their coloration, they try and blend in with the sort of vegetation, and it becomes incredibly tricky to see them. Now, there is another cuckoo species, which I'll show you quickly now, that is my favorite, that you do get in the Sabi Sands very, very seldom, but can be seen, and it is this fella over here. The photo doesn't do justice. So, James, you're saying not yet. It's your nemesis bird. Well, James, we're going to rectify it. I'm going to look very, very hard. The next one I hear, we'll try and track it down. But this is the one that is my favorite in terms of these green-colored cuckoos. This is called an African emerald cuckoo, and that you would think is very easy to spot. But I can assure you that this bird is almost impossible to see in vegetation. When I was in the Congo last year, they call non-stop. That's all you hear is this emerald cuckoo calling. But to find one is near impossible. In fact, the entire time that we were there, we only saw two, and they were both just by random. As we were kind of going down a river, we managed to flush one, and it then landed on a branch that we could see it really nicely for a little bit. But that bird is absolutely amazing. The yellow is bright, 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 and the back is this emerald green that shines. And if there's a bit of sunlight, it is seriously pretty. So, they also a nice one. We wouldn't see it here in this part of Djuma. I would imagine it's probably in all likelihood more down towards the Sabi River or Manyeleti River. Good. Now it sounds like Sydney is not only with the Avocas, but he's also got some alarm calls. So let's send you back to him and see what's been happening that side.
So I've just picked up an alarm call somewhere down here, which is just about less than 40 meters away from where I have got the Avocas. And I just want to quickly check here who these birds are complaining about, as those birds are not complaining about the presence of the lions at all. There must be something here. So I just want to quickly check, because when I came in here, I saw quite a lot of water here by this drainage line. Call 6, I didn't get your question nicely. If you can repeat that for me. So here in Sabi Sand, the coalition of lions, I know it is the Avocas. Oh, here you can see this bird is on top of the tree. I just want to show you that bird which is giving the call. And I can see the drongo as well is joining. That is the bird which is giving. So here, these birds are calling, and there's a drainage line here. Oh, they must be complaining about, I can see there is a small mongoose. I saw the small mongoose just running much more towards that side. Maybe they are complaining about the dwarf mongoose. I saw the dwarf mongoose now just crossing somewhere here. Maybe that is what this call is all about. So now I will just quickly go back to the Avocas. Paula, he sounds very annoyed because these birds, they also get predated by quite a lot of animals. From small predators to the big predators, they feed on them. That is why they are so now making that kind of a call to call everybody to expose the predator, as they know this predator can be dangerous. So the question about the meaning of Avocas, which came earlier, I did quickly my research and I saw that there is quite a whole lot of different meanings about the Avocas, but the one I like the most is the one which says Avocas are those young boys who attract the females for mating purposes. So here I can say maybe the name, it is associated with that, as they are very good looking boys, and I'm sure they will attract the females when they are ready for mating. So they are still at the same area, and I can see that now the one which was sleeping is up. Maybe they are also thinking this alarm call is about their presence. So we are going to see them just now. In less than a minute, I will be right back on the sighting. So you can see that you can see that now this lion is looking at that direction of the other one. So the one we are having at the moment is the one who is very much social and not worried at all. The other one who went that side looking for something and then decided to be on that side, and is the one that we saw earlier with the beautiful eyes. So this one has got beautiful hairs. The other one has got beautiful eyes. Competition is going to be tough when these lions are convincing females for mating purposes. Look at these hairs. So we've got the beautiful hairs and the beautiful eyes. You can see that he is really looking after this mane. So this mane, when it's too hot, it does also gives them a problem when it comes to the heat. Look at that. You can see the eyes are completely different. They don't look the same. He doesn't look the same as that one. Oh, he must be irritated by some of the parasites there. I can see he has been moving the tail all the time. Oh, now it's time for him to sleep again. So you can see that the tassel works as well in order to chase away these kind of parasites. So now you can see somewhere there, I can see this a black dot. Maybe that is a tick by the beginning of the tail. I can't see it clearly, but maybe that is where you can see every time he's shaking the tail. So somewhere there must be quite a lot of parasites. So the parasites such as the ticks and the mites, they do attach themselves to these animals, and because of drinking too much blood, if the animals are not drinking water and not eating, animals can easily get dehydrated. You can see that I'm not seeing any fly, any small fly there. This is about the parasites. So the stomach there, I think it's not empty completely. If you look at that stomach, you can see that there is something they eat. They are not very hungry. So now I'm just going to drive again and go to the next spot where I am going to be able to see the brother. I think a setup like this is perfect. When one is here, another one is somewhere far. For in case, if they see something, they can be able to easily corner it and take it down. Anna Marie, these kind of cats, they do get quite a lot of diseases that are also affecting the human beings. So they do get affected by the ticks, diseases that are transmitted by the ticks, different fevers, and dangerous diseases that are transmitted by the mice, such as the mange, as we have been seeing the Mangani males with mange. So they do get those kind of diseases. So now we are going to cross over to the Maasai Mara, where David is having one of those tall animals.
Well, I've got something different now, and I thought we do a tall animal. And giraffes, when you compare them to their heights against all the other animals, these are the tallest animals we got in Africa. But I stopped here because I saw so many oxpeckers on his body, and some especially on his ossicons. And I'm wondering what they could be getting at that particular point, because it's always a very bony area. Do you have any ticks there? These oxpeckers are a little bit worrying me now, because I expect them to be by the ears, the eyes, the mouth, the underparts of between the legs, on the tail, you know, at the base of the tail, at the genitalia. That's the places we get lots of these ticks. But I'm seeing now these ones on the ossicons. As much as the ossicons got a bit of hair there, Well, this is a big boy by any standard, and he's not very amused by these oxpeckers on his body. Now, the Maasai giraffes, like all the other giraffes, are browsers, but you see the challenge they face when they try to get anything that's not to their advantage in terms of height. So they have to bend, spread the legs out for them to reach the small little bushes, like those ones. And see that little baby there, or just a youngster there. Much young, or is it a female? This to me looks like a female, and this has loads of birds also on the back. So all those birds you see there, they are oxpeckers. And oxpeckers, we have either red-billed oxpeckers or yellow-billed oxpeckers. And it looks to me like a youngster. Vicky, how are you? And you say you love giraffes. Thank you very much. Great comment, Vicky. Who would not want to love giraffes, and especially at that particular point. So you see, Vicky, the difference between those two giraffes there. That other one was like a youngster, and this one is a fully grown giraffe, Vicky. And I'm sure, Vicky, you know, these are the tallest animals we got in the world. Vicky, look at their height. Again, it's the height of those torchwood trees. And very majestic when they walk. Look at that. Fantastic. I've always thought anytime giraffes walk, they're like, you know, modeling, and that was a very short modeling. Come on, Mr. Giraffe, a few more steps, please. Yes. Very good. I hope, Vic, you're enjoying those steps of like a catwalk. Yeah, I agree with you. They're very good models because especially of their height, So the legs come out very clearly and they're spread out. And sometimes I've always said giraffes move two legs of one side at the same time, what we call ambling, as much as most of the animals will do the same. But for the giraffe, it's more articulate when 2 and 2, 2 and 2. And you can see the long tail going all the way past, almost past the ankles. You want to try the tree now? Too high? Sorry. You have to look for another that's much shorter. So giraffes have been known to trim these trees either from the top or from the bottom. See how tall he is against that torchwood tree. Joy, you're asking whether this is unusual size of giraffe. It's not unusual. I mean, males should be anything up to 17 feet tall. So, but either way, I say, Joy, he is a big boy. He is big by any standard. Of course, you'll always get one abnormal cases or one unusual cases out of the norm. But I would say, Joy, he is quite big. I mean, yeah, he is tall. 17 feet could be a tall one because the average would be anything 4.7 meters. So I think this one is a little bit taller than that. And as I said, there's always one off a case in every other species of an animal. Just like some lions, Joy, you see some lions that are like, weighing 250 kilos or 200, and some could be weighing more. Well, giraffes have done pretty good for us, and I think Sydney cannot wait to show us the Avoca males as I move on, maybe to get other lions for myself.
So you can see that the cute lion is still there now, just resting by the open space. He must be smelling the green grass. You can see the grass is excited after this rain to come back at the moment. Look at that lion. The eyes are closed completely now. And you can just see the small dots of the false eyes there showing off. Is he bald? Is he bald here? Somewhere next to the eye. I can't see what happened there exactly because I can't see the hairs there. So you can see that irrespective yeah, it is indeed a very interesting balding cat. So you can see that the lions, irrespective of the weather, they do lie down most of the time during the day. The weather has been like this. It has been overcast since this morning, but still you can see they're lying down. It's just that when the weather is like this, they don't worry about the shade. They just lie down anywhere and everywhere. Across cider, the lions can go for quite a long time without drinking. They are not that very much water dependent because they do get quite a lot of water from the diet. These animals, when they catch something, when they're eating the meat, because of blood in the meat, they can be able to get that as a moisture which helps them to go. These animals can go for approximately some can even take it up to a week or 2 weeks without drinking. And without eating, they can even take it, they will start to lose weight when they're about more than 2 weeks. And they can even go up to, some can take it up to close to a month without eating at all, and you will see the condition starting to drop down. So these animals, they are so very well adapted because of the following. One, they don't know when they're going to get their next meal. It's not like us. We know that we are going to get next meal when. They can come now and they can go out now for hunting. And if they don't win, it means they're not going to eat. And tomorrow again, if they don't win, same thing is going to happen. That is why these males are now strategizing and start to visit the dens, like the Juma den, and go and attack hyenas so that they can have something to eat because they can smell food there. So now let's quickly cross over to Tristan and hear how his search is doing.
Well, we're just bumbling about at this stage, Sydney. We're just checking all the areas that I would think something could emerge. I went and checked the far west just for any sign of Shadulu. She was seen yesterday right on the border of Triple M, and then she went into Hoffman's this morning. So I was just seeing if we could catch her coming back out towards our side, but no sign of her at all. And then I came across these weaver nest, and I was just having a little kind of look at them because I was wondering which weavers would nest here. It's quite an odd spot for them to be nesting. I suppose not too bad, given that it's over a drainage line and would be a fairly good place to be. And so I was thinking to myself, which kind of weavers would it be, and which ones that could be building that. They all have their own distinct nest shape, so I think it must be our mast weavers. Now I can actually see a weaver moving around. Hold on, David. It's just behind this termite mound, so let's see if we can actually get a view. I think it's a weaver, or is it a black-headed oriole? It's one of the two of them. A black-headed oriole is what it is. It's just behind that mound, low down. There, you might just see movement. There it is. You can just see it behind the kind of mounds there. It flew, and it's going to come out nicely for us. So these are one of the more beautiful birds that we get out here. These black-headed orioles. You can see massive red beak, bright yellow coloration, and that black head. Now, these are common orioles that we get here. We get these guys all year round, but there are two that will be around at the moment that you don't see very often, and that's the Eurasian and the African golden orioles, and they come through in the summer months, and you're able to kind of get views of them. You can see it's cleaning its beak. I wonder what it just ate. Obviously, it had a little bit of a meal. Can you hear it calling? Now, I was hoping it was going to give us its full call because they have the most beautiful call, but that was very, very pleasant, wasn't it? I thought so. Very nice. Isn't it a beautiful bird to brighten up a rather dull day? I think so. Also can hear some oxpeckers that are making a lot of noise. Apparently, Emma and Lexi in Final Control call them the Oreos. Why would you call them an Oreo? They don't look anything like one. Apparently, the reason why is because it sounds like Oreo, and it's tea time at this time of the day or in the morning, and so they just equate that bird to an indication that it's time to go get Oreos from the kitchen and go and eat them. Naughty, naughty, you two. Snacking on the job. Always time for Oreos. Yes, I would imagine they are. Although, Emma, no pot, kettle, anything. I'm on the straight and narrow at the moment. Emma, I've doing the strong diet at this stage. So I did my bulking session during December for the year, and now it's time to cut down and make sure that we lose a whole bunch of weight. And so I'm on a very strict diet at the moment, so it's going to be interesting. Today's been a tough day already. It's not going very easily at all, but we'll break it eventually and it'll all get normal. Right, now apparently enough talking about the fact that we want tea and biscuits and these kind of things. I need to send you apparently all the way up to the Maasai Mara with an animal that's doing what I suppose I'm going to end up doing and eating vegetation for the next few months. And well, this one eats vegetation all of its life.
These are eating healthy buffaloes, and such a huge number of buffaloes here. And seems like again we are back to the big five story, because after having seen, some lots of lions, the pride of lions, then we saw lots of ellies. Now I have a whole load of buffaloes. Bungay is going to pan too, and when he's doing that, he's panning when I am counting. And I have to be honest, I will not count. It's a Jacko there. What are you doing there, Jacko? You're in the wrong place, Jacko. Jacko, you are a canid, and this one's a different species of animals altogether. You have no commonality there. It's Bovinai and canid here. Go look for the foxes or for the wild dogs. Two of them, apparently. They're in the wrong place. And that just justifies what we say about jackals. They're very monogamous, and I would guess this is a male and a female. Please get out of the way. Look at your size and the size of those buffaloes. If this was smaller antelopes, for example, the Tommies or the Grants or the Impalas, you would have seen their body language when they see jackals just passing in front of them. But buffaloes, they know these guys are no match to them, they can handle them very easily. Now, the wildebeest migration has headed south by now, and what we have been left with for the big pride of lions in the Mara Triangle are these animals here that we call the African buffalo. So this is what they'll be hunting until sometimes next year, when the herds or the huge groups of wildebeest come back. Well, I did not count, but what I did was to do an estimate, and have an estimate of about 500 buffaloes, 500, and Bungay thinks I am a bit mean. They are more than that. And that happens when you see the horns, especially in the males. Excuse me, getting a bit of dust here because of the dryness that we got after a few days. Excuse me. Thank you very much. And I think these buffaloes, they don't want me here. They want me to go look for the lions. And once we see the lions, I'm sure they'll be very careful. So thank you, Bungay, for thinking they're not 500. Bungay thinks they're over 500. It's very possible, because they're a lot more behind towards the horizon. Well, this is a group mixture of both males and females, and also lots of calves in this particular herd. Well, the area they're enjoying, we call this the burnt area, and there was some fire here a few months ago, and because the grass is pretty lush and very nutritious, just like we all know cows would do, that's exactly why they're all here. But other animals, apart from those two jackals we saw, that could be a possible candidate to be seen here, would be the cheetahs. Cheetahs love such areas because the Thompson gazelle prefer short grass. Bonnie, these bulls rarely charge at us. If Bonnie will remain in the car, it's quite unusual for them to charge at us. But if Bonnie, you're walking on foot, I'll tell you, buffaloes are not animals you want to get close to, because they'll very quickly kill you. The village I come from, Bonnie, looking at all the animals you got in Africa, buffaloes have done more damage than any other animals from where I come from. And I would say in general, the whole of Africa, we know between buffaloes and hippos, those are the two most dangerous animals here. But again, it depends, Bonnie, on where you are. If you have, of course, no lakes or no rivers, or some habitat where hippos would live, then buffaloes would be a possible candidate to cause more harm, because they are not very particular in terms of habitat, like the hippopotamus. See how those horns curl backwards? It reminds me of the Spanish Zorros. They use once in a while on the ring when they go to fight. I'd rather anybody would want to do that with the buffaloes in Africa. I highly doubt, because these animals, I think they're very difficult to tame or domesticate. Hello, buffalo. She looks to me like she's thinking something and wondering, could lions be coming from any direction? Who knows? Well, you never know. And buffaloes want to leave you here. You have so much mud on yourself. You must be having some mud while earlier. Just say that cool off or suffocate any bugs that could come on your body. They do that a lot. But I've seen males doing more of that than females. Well, the buffaloes, well done. We're going to leave the buffaloes and move on and find out what else we have ahead of us, because my destination was to look for some lions, and there's nobody behind me. And Sydney, I'm sure you want to keep telling us something interesting.
You can see that the beautiful ice lion is now lying down. It's time for him to rest at the moment. He's letting me down as I was really enjoying watching his eyes, but now you can see he's sleeping like a baby. This is what is called sleeping like a baby, you can see. So this is beautiful. This is he's having a nice sleep. So these lions this morning, according to those vehicles who spotted them, were saying they were walking too fast. And I thought maybe they were going to cross and go very far. But now you can see that they were walking just to come and lie down here. They were just avoiding us this morning. So if you look at these males and you think about the Mangeni males, you can see that these male lions from the Avocas are in a very good condition. You can't even see the bones here on the hips, the ischium. You can't see anything, it's not clear. But if you look at... So now let's quickly go back to Tristan. He's got something small.
Well, we do have a mongoose sitting there, looking out, gazing upon the day, thinking to itself probably, where is the sunshine? It would be nice to be slightly warmer. Although they have a little natural jersey, I suppose, in the fact that they've got lots of hair. They probably quite like this weather, actually. Probably think to themselves, thank goodness it's not 46 degrees out here and us getting absolutely baked. And so it seems as though it's got fairly happy about life, though. It was with the group, there was a whole lot of them, but unfortunately this is the only one that's left. This is the little one that is kind of checking things out and is brave enough to stay and watch us going about our business. You can see it's a rather large mound, and they kind of spread out all over it when we first arrived, and then they decided just to all run inside. Now this little one is digging. What are you digging for? Of course, there would be a branch right in front of its face where it's digging. That is the way things go. Absolutely typical from these guys. It's always like that when you're out here. It's a very difficult thing to position a car in a place where there isn't grass at the moment. Now, Kathy, you say you love these little critters. They are very cool, aren't they? I thoroughly enjoy watching them. It's like everything's on fast forward. They can't move slowly. It's either run, even the way their head moves is kind of twitchy and sort of moves very fast, so I thoroughly enjoy watching them. They're really cool. The nice thing actually up in the Mara is that you get the banded mongoose, which is a lot of fun to watch as well, because they're slightly bigger and they go after larger prey items, and they're very cool to kind of see going about their business. Oh, there comes another one. Excellent. This one's about to be joined by another down to the left. Oh, it went in. Sorry, David. They're coming from the left-hand side, though. That's where they're going to come from and going to move about. There's a little hole there. What are you doing? Are you going to scratch yourself on the branch? What on? This is why I enjoy them. You're constantly playing around and messing around with one another. No, that's too small a hole. You can't fit in there. Tried though, didn't it? No, it's too small. There we go, that one's slightly bigger. You can fit inside there. maybe that one had too much for Christmas time. I know how it feels. We were talking about it earlier, but now it can't fit inside its home. It's kind of tried to go in the mound and its waste just got stuck. Unfortunately, you're going to have to suck that waste in or go on diet. Exactly, a soil moustache and oh. That one is just, well, it has just shown us in all the glory what it is. It's a little boy that is doing, oh, lovely now. So, it's one as it's so one as it's shown itself, it's well, displayed its testes and its assets, and then decided just to take a kind of poo right there in front of us. Delightful character that one is. Yes, you. I don't know what to say really. It's typical kind of behavior from a young male in the mongoose world. I suppose they do this quite regularly, but it was quite entertaining. I quite enjoyed that actually. You can see though, once they get into the grass, let's talk about more kind of serious things, is that they actually blend in so well. If they sit dead still, it's quite tricky to actually spot them. The only reason you generally see these guys is because they actually scamper about and they move so much. It makes it a lot easier for you kind of to see the movement. But otherwise, if they stand still, it really is tough to actually see them in the undergrowth, particularly when they get into like long green grass sections. It can be very tricky to find them. But you, sir, are a naughty little bugger. You have done all kinds of things today that you shouldn't do, and I suppose that's how they are. They do these things quite regularly. Anyway, we're going to carry on. We're going to leave these lot to themselves. Very naughty, very cheeky as well. But mongoose version of mooning, well, I don't think that was the only thing. Bunch was censoring what was actually going on, like doing a self group other regions, which is always something. The animal that I feel sorry for sometimes is that, you know, you often see the male lions is that they'll groom their testes, and cats have rather rough tongues, and you would think that that can't be very pleasant. Imagine that it must be a bit tricky to groom down there. So, you know, at least a mongoose doesn't have a rough tongue, I don't think. So hopefully that's okay. But anyway, talking about cats and rough tongues, we're going to send you back across to Sydney, and he's with the lions, and hopefully they don't groom themselves or injure themselves in the process and act like our mongoose.
So you can see that the one with the beautiful hairs is just now up and running. He is listening to what is happening while the other brother is just lying down at the moment. You can see these hairs are beautiful. Look at those hairs there. You can see that it's calling now. You can see he's calling the brother maybe. So that was a nice, soft roar. And that is nothing compared to the real roar that this kind of animal produce mostly at night and early mornings. See that he still wants to call again. So these animals, they communicate verbally, and sometimes they use non-verbal communications, such as the tails as well as the tip of the ears. So he must be probably calling the brother we saw lying down high up that side. But also the brother is now up. I can see as well that the brother is not answering, but he is also up. So this kind of animals, they use the roar in order to advertise themselves in the territory. So they use it in order to also fear those who are interested to enter in their territories. So this Avoca coalition is very much beautiful. It consisted of the beautiful males. Catherine, you can see that the nose, and on top of the nose you can see that there's quite a lot of scratch marks. He has been involved on quite a lot of things. Normally lions, listen to that. So normally they get involved on a lot of fightings when they are eating. You can see that he still wants to call. And the other one is not even answering at all. He decided to go back to sleep again on the other side. So let's just hope these two lions don't go to the side of Buffalo's Hook. Listen to that. You can see that he's positioning. That kind of a soft call to us is very much low, but to the other lions, because of the good hearing ability, they can hear each other very well. Now you can see the hairs. This is looking beautiful. A good camera work, Senzo, thank you. And now you can see that he is trying to show off now. He's showing the other side as well. So So it's very nice sometimes to just hear them calling without talking. Maybe it's gonna give us a loud roar. While waiting to see this Avoca male roaring, let's quickly cross over to the Maasai Mara where David is having something.
Simba. Tutupe macho kabisa Bungei. Kambi ilienda jana, imeenda leo. Walibomoa. Wamekaa siku 5.
You can see that the lions are still here. Apologies for the network difficulties to get hold of David. You can see that he is interested on this roar, and he is calling and listening at the same time. This is quite a very big cat. So you can see that when he's lying down, that is quite a big animal, can grow, and they can weigh up to 220 kilograms. That is quite a lot. So don't get surprised. I might be having some other vehicles coming to join me at any time from now. So you can see that he is now giving these kind of soft calls, looking at the central part of Juma, and the wind direction is coming from there. Maybe the wind is informing him about something. So the lions, sometimes they do roar during the daytime. It's just that most of the roars are taking place at night. I have seen lions not once, not twice, roaring during the daytime. Safari Sally, the male lions, they have got a very significant important when it comes to the traditional practice of the Venda people. Lions are associated with us from the greetings. When greeting each other, we say nda. Nda is just a short expression which is shortened from ndawiyanduna. Ndawiyanduna, it means a male lion. So every day in Venda, we talk about lions. When I'm greeting any other Venda, I will just say Ndawiyanduna. Ndawiyanduna, it means a male lion. And his reply is going to be Ndawiyanduna. Or he will just say Ndahubo. It means a lion. So every day I talk the lions. So Ndawiyanduna is an expression in Venda which means a male lion. This expression is coming because of the fact that the lions, they are so very much brave and they are associated with the kings and the chiefs. I thought he was going to call there. So to greet the lions, I must have to say Ndawiyanduna. So that is how I'm going to greet them in future, Ndawiyanduna. So it means a male lion. So in other words, as vendors, the first animal to know when we grow up is the lion, because we will always want to ask why do we have to say Ndawiyanduna, which means a male lion. Why are we saying that? And then elders will tell you that no, because the lions, they are considered very big animals, dangerous animals, and they earn a lot of respect. So he might limp a little bit because of the amount of hours he has been lying down here. This is quite an incredible experience, having Avoca right here passing by. It's an ornament. I think I am honored by the Avocas today. Ndawiyanduna. This is so cute. Oh, he was just honoring us with a lot of soft roars, and now he's just lying down right in front of us. So I'm going to have to reposition now because I can see it's difficult now. So now let's quickly go back to Tristan and hear what is happening.
Well, I'm sure you are, Sydney. I know how much you enjoy the lions, and so I'm sure you're having a wonderful time listening to them. Now, you guys might be wondering what I'm up to, and so basically David and I were bumbling about, just watching things, chatting about all things in life, and we then bumped into an Arethusa vehicle, so we were just having a chat with them, just kind of working out where everything is and trying to get some insider info as to what's happening, and then we heard a lion roar. So we're now roughly where I think it was roaring from. It was quite far, and so difficult to hear, but it sounded like somewhere up on Cheetah Cut Line here, so maybe that's why that Avoca is contact calling. This might be the third one that's roaring on this side. Could be Talamati male, could be, I don't know, any of the males really. There's so many young males that are cruising around. Could be that lioness that was seen crossing into this area. So we're going to just try and kind of scratch around here, and what we're going to do is we're going to hopefully find something of kind of interest like an impala or something like that, where we can just stop and we're going to turn off and we're going to listen, and hopefully that lion's going to roar again and we're going to be able to pick it up, and then we'll be able to get to where it is and kind of get a little closer. But it's somewhere in this general vicinity here. Like I said, it was just that little bit too far to really kind of pinpoint exactly where it was roaring from. The thing is though, is when a lion is roaring, it's often roaring and moving, and so that hopefully will mean that it's going to roar more than just once, and we're going to maybe pick it up on the road or pick up some tracks or something like that. So it bodes well for the sort of next little bits. Hopefully we'll find it. It'll be nice if it is the third Avoca or the Talamati male. It's been a while since I've seen any of those lions, and so it'll be nice to kind of pick up one of them. These impalas here though tend to suggest there's no male lion anywhere near this lot, because they're lying down and are looking quite satisfied with life, don't you think? They look as though they are absolutely kind of happy with what's going on. Doesn't seem like they're too stressed about life at all. They're all sitting and chewing the cud and taking it very easy. Super chilled, exactly. They're having their tea time too, Emma. They are taking it easy, and there's no lion and unwelcome guest has in... Well, impalas can have Oreos, Emma. You've just never seen them do it. If they can most definitely have an Oreo, anyone can have an Oreo. Even male lions would have one, but I think Hosanna would like Oreos. Do you think he would dunk them as well? I think he would be a dunker. He would like to dunk them in milk. That is what Hosanna would definitely like Oreos. I think he'd even stack them and then pop them in a group together and dunk them and make sure that he has the full Oreo experience. With peanut butter, I must be honest, I've never had an Oreo with peanut butter, to be honest. Am I missing out, Emma? It's a game changer, apparently. David, you had Oreo with peanut butter? David's also not, and David is a king of snacking. So if David hasn't had an Oreo with peanut butter, then it's not a big thing, I'm afraid. Unfortunately, Emma, you can't teach us the ways, because we're not on an Oreo diet at the moment. No Oreos for us. We're on the straight and narrow, remember? So for now, we'll have to just keep that parked until such time as we're allowed to have a cheat meal, and then we can have an Oreo kind of thing. Now, last night was a massive test, because there was two things last night that I quite enjoy. One was potatoes. I have a problem with potatoes. They're a weakness. And there was delightful potatoes that were made last night. And then there was also a massive peppermint crisp tart that was pulled out, that was huge. And so that was a bit of a tricky one to kind of walk past, but we managed. We were steadfast in our mission and managed to kind of avoid getting into any sort of drama there or any trouble. And so we're going to have to kind of... There, the lion's roaring again. Where are you roaring? It's a lot further to... I don't know where this lion is. It's... Sorry, guys. It's somewhere here on my left-hand side, maybe Leadwood Road, but it's not close. It's weird, because when we were on the other side and we heard it, it sounded like this side. Now that I'm here, it's sounding that way, unless this lion is highly mobile, which I suppose is also possible, but it has just roared to my left-hand side. David, what do you think? Leadwood? Leadwood or Mamba, maybe, one of the two. Leadwood, I think. It sounds like more to the left. So let's go and have a little scratch around. Could be that lioness that was crossed in today. Maybe it's her that's calling. The Inkahuma Pride is on Little Gowrie, apparently. They've been found there. But it's not them calling. So... I wonder. But at least it's calling. That's a good sign. We hopefully should be able to find it. If it's calling, then that's going to make life a lot easier. But definitely heard it from somewhere in this general vicinity. Chili Pepper, we will follow it with much glee and with a lot of hope in the fact that we might find this lion and who it is and what's going on. I wonder if maybe it's the other mangy Mangan that's around, but I don't think the Mangan would call. What was that? Was that a cuckoo? Yes, there's a cuckoo there that's just landed. Which cuckoo are you? It's not one of the brightly coloured ones. It's I think a drabon. No, Amur falcon. Sorry, I thought it was a cuckoo, but it was an Amur falcon that just flew off. You can see that spotty little chest. Oh, itchy face as well. Are you having a tough time in the wind? Quite odd to see it on its own like this. Generally in small groups, there might be more around. I mean, I might have just flushed this one and the rest are still sitting on the actual branches themselves. Now, the nice thing about these guys is you can actually tell male from female. So the female is what we're looking at over there. She's the one with the little black moustache and those little stripes on her kind of body. So you can see there she's got that sort of stripy chest, the little red beak, there's a little molar stripe, or black moustache if you want to call it that, and then the red feet. Whereas the male, you can see, is completely different. He's got a much darker appearance to him, almost a sooty black with that little kind of rufous tummy and red legs. Now these guys normally in big flocks together, so I'm surprised that we've just seen the one by itself. I would imagine that there must be more than one around. I would hope that they would be somewhere in this general vicinity, but I don't see anything at this stage. The poor thing is having a horrible time being blown about by the wind, so it's now going to fly away, and yes, I'm sure it will, and move off. Right. Now, Paula, you want to know about the cuckoo. Now, you asking about the casqued cuckoo. Now, I'm not sure, are we talking about the African emerald that I was talking about earlier? African emeralds, okay, yes. Hold on, African emeralds calls Georgie. So it looks for Georgie. That's how it calls. Now give me 2 seconds. I will get it for you. If you hold on. Now David, you have to listen for this line while I'm doing this. Eh? You shall. Okay, excellent. I know this is going to go through David's headphones too, so he's not going to hear much. But anyway. So that's the call of the African emerald cuckoo, and it's basically, Georgie, where are you? And that's how I remember it. You find it a lot where there's riverine systems or big kind of broadleaf woodland forests, like those kind of areas. Here is not quite the right place for them. Where are you, lion? Your Ellies have been around during the course of the day at some point, yeah? Right, now our lion was roaring somewhere in this general area. We're going to stop again and listen once more. While we do that, let's send you back across to Sydney, whose lions are, well, not being nearly as active as this one and are lying down flat.
You can see the flies are also moving everywhere there. These flies we are seeing there, when they are moving on that nose, just the movement of the eyes, contact between the flies and the lions, flies can be able to pick up if this mucus coming from this lion is tasty or not. The flies has got the taste buds here on their legs. Where they land, immediately they can be able to taste about, look at that. Like now, they can be able to tell now, you can see he's closing the eyes to avoid them. You can see that they're giving, so these flies can be able to taste how the water coming, how the tears, if it's the tears, every water coming from this eye tastes like, without absorbing that water by the probe they have got, just from the legs. By landing on it, they know. You can see this one has got a huge responsibility of combing his hairs. So the hairs are not looking as beautiful as the other one. So you can see those kind of paws there. They do have some of the they do have the retractable claws that they're using in order to grab. So they can use that maybe in order to comb the mane. So the underneath part of this paw is very much soft. It looks rough, but I can promise you it's very much soft. So this kind of front legs has got a very significant role to play. When the lions are hunting, they use the front legs in order to grab the animal. And for the small animals such as birds, if they want to catch, they can also just wipe them with just a paw. I can see now that looks like it's dreaming now. So they are all lying down flat at the moment. There is something I'm seeing here. I'm not sure what that animal is, a sensor. I just want to pull forward a little bit for us to see. There's something I'm seeing on top of the tree branch here by the dry trees. Or maybe it's the vultures. There's some birds here on top of a dry tree. You can see that it's cold. You can see how the hairs are arranged on that bed there, that it is very cold. It doesn't look like an animal. Look now. Oh, this feathers looks very beautiful. Look at that. The feathers are now raised there. Look, when it's turning the head, you can't see that part where we were seeing now. The part which is hairless. It's featherless. My apologies on that. So this kind of vultures, you must check. Vultures, they've got very much weak legs. Most of the big birds, we see them holding the meat or holding their prey in between the legs. But the vultures, you don't see them doing that because they've got weak legs. Vultures has got one of the very much interesting strategy in order to control the heat. They do something which is called urohydrosis. Here is whereby they urinate right on their legs. You will see them. That's why vultures don't smell nice, because their droppings don't smell good, and they do use their droppings in order to paint their legs in order to prevent sunburn, to use that as a sun cream. So they've got a very strong corrosive acid in the stomach, which helps them in order to digest all the bacteria that they get from the rotten meat. And because of that, when they are defecating on their legs, it helps them because that acid then kills the bacteria that they get when they're moving around the scene or around the carcass. So you can see they're hiding the head. So today there's not much thermal. That's why. So they look very much chilly, and you can see because of this kind of weather, there is not much thermal. These are some of those birds who normally fly when there is too much thermal. They can be able to see thermal from the bare patches on the ground. So if you look at this lion now here, you will see the stomach, as we were talking earlier, that they are not hungry. Now you can see that stomach nicely. So the hairs on the elbows, if you can check there now, this animal, the hairs, as I indicated, exaggerate the bodies, but they use these elbows a lot when they're lying down. So this kind of hairs helps them to protect here by the elbows. So you can see when this animal is standing just to show off on top of the termite mound is when you will see and accept that lions are king of the jungle. The sound they produce can travel more than 10 kilometers, you can hear it. The lion roars sounds different. When it's lying down, they make a very big sound than when they're standing. That helps them in order to amplify the sound. You know, it's like the hyenas. I have seen something done by the hyenas the other day. You know, the hyenas, when they are giving that call, this is what they do. They normally face the ground and they blow that call so that the ground can amplify and spread the sound. So these animals, they are very much clever. Similar to the insects, the sound they make is called stridulation. Normally, when I grew up, while I was very young, the crickets, we used to have quite a lot of them because I was staying by the huts, and it was done by the thatch. And these kind of insects, they used to jump, because if you can check how the hut is designed, the roof is put on top of the bricks, and here by the side it's not sealed. So when I'm inside here, I can still see the lights from around the building. So this kind of insects, they climb, and when they climb in, what they do is, if there is a hole, they call one there next to a hole, so that the hole can amplify the sound, and the sound can travel far. And they irritate too much because of that. So now I'm going to reposition so that we can easily see these lions. I can see that we are only just seeing this one side of this lion. So now let's quickly go to Tristan, who is on a lion search. Somewhere in the central, there was a lion roar given by one of the lions earlier. When this lion was giving that kind of a soft roar, he was trying to reply to another lion in the area.
That is coming straight towards us at the moment. So we managed to finally catch up with a female. I'm not sure who it is yet. Still kind of coming through the bush, and it's tricky to see exactly which lioness it is. It looks like it's got a damaged right eye though, whichever lioness it is, and looking rather skinny. Now it's making a lot of noise. I thought it was actually a male that was contact calling, but it's not. It's a lioness that's making a lot of noise. Now there are 11 inkuhumas on Little Gari, so who are you that is moving around this area? Definitely got a damaged eye. Is that eye still there? Yes, it's there, but it's a bit of scarring around the eye itself. There you go, you can hear her calling. Now, it almost looks like a young male. It almost looks like there's a bit of hair kind of growing on the chest, but it's not. It's what's wrong, girl? Who are you? I'm not sure who this is, to be honest with you. I have absolutely no idea. The funny thing is that we are in the exact same spot that we had Tingana and Tundi yesterday. Well, I mean, we're slightly, maybe about 100 meters to the east at the moment. Now, I just want to let one of the guys know that was trying to help me find this lion. Mune. So, yeah, she's mobile south now if you want to just come back towards Gari Main. You can see she's contact calling, so she's obviously missing her pride. Now, I know there's a lioness that's missing from the inkuhumas, which is Floppier, the young lioness, but I don't think it's her though. It doesn't look like her. I mean, I could be wrong. It's been so long since I've spent much time with the pride that, you know, my kind of not very in tune with the sub-adults and what they look like these days. I mean, I can't actually remember the last time I saw the Nkuhuma pride, if I'm honest with you. So, I'm interested to see, but the problem is she's going the wrong way now. She's going southwards towards Gari Main, which I didn't really want. She's going to come out onto the road now. Who are you, girl, and where have you come from? Now, there's no ways the Nkuhumas can't hear that. Now, I believe a lot of you are confused. Does anyone recognize this lioness? I certainly don't. Like I say, it's been so long since I've seen the Nkuhuma sub-adults that I suppose it could be one of them, but I just don't think so. It just doesn't look like her at all. Right, let's get round. Jinska, definitely not Nkuhuma. I also don't think so. Maybe maybe one of the torchwoods or telemates. It's not one of the sticks either, so I'm not really sure who this could be. Sometimes you get random lines like this coming through. It's part and parcel of these kind of things that we do, is that animals move a lot, and so sometimes you get this. Now I'm gonna have to try and move quickly to get round. It's unfortunately a long way around because she might cross before we even get back there. This is exactly where we had Tingana yesterday, or where we first saw him yesterday, so give you an idea of where we are. Sorry, we're going a little quicker than I would probably like to go. Zephyr, are there any telemati girls? There are, but where they are... Oh, we picked up such a big branch. But I'm intrigued by this because it's walking south towards where the Nkuhumas are. The Nkuhumas are just south of where we are now. Are you going to lie down for us? Please lie down for us. Look at that, though. There's the that's the kind of boundary now. So a little Gari on the left side of that road, Juma on the right, and the Nkuhumas are to the left side of the road. Now, if this isn't an Nkuhuma, the vocalizing that it's making, those Nkuhumas should hear that and should know very well that it's not a male that's calling, and could then very well try and kind of come in and see what's happening and try and actually push back and try and kind of move her on. But shame, she's very vocal, which means she's looking, she's trying to find the rest of her pride. Who are you? It's a young lioness, whoever it is. You can see very few scratches on the face, nice clean ears. Interesting. Now, a lot of you are asking, is this the reason the evokers are making so much noise? Could be part of the reason. I suspect, though, more that it is the fact that she's looking for a pride. Maybe they are hearing her and that's why they're contact calling, but I mean, they're not letting out full-blooded roars, and the distance that she is from them, you would expect full-blooded roars to be let out. Now, I'm trying to see if I can get round her to get onto the other side, but I don't know if it's going to be possible. Let's have a little look. Right, now we're going to try and get round her and get onto the other side of her. While I do that, though, it's going to be a bit tricky. Let's send you back across to Sydney and see what the evoker's reaction is to this lovely lioness's calls.
So you can see that the Avocas, they are now all again flat. They are sleeping flat at the moment, and I can promise you at any time from now they might wake up as if they're not the one who are sleeping now, in order to go and do something else, as now we are heading much more towards the best time for this kind of cats in order to move around. So I'm just trying to listen to some of the birds who are giving the warning calls in the area, and I can hear Frank Collins are giving call. We hear some branches breaking. It seems like there is some elephants somewhere in the area, but not much closer. So it will be difficult for me to hear very well. The wind is also telling me I can pick up a very strong smell. There's some elephants here somewhere in the middle of the block, same area where these lions are. So now let's quickly cross over to Tristan with a calling lion.
Indeed, we are with the calling lion. You can see she's just sitting in the middle of the road at the moment, making quite a bit of noise. So she's trying to kind of work out where the rest of her pride is. But that eye, you can see, has sustained some damage at some point. And who that is, where that's damaged it, I don't know. And who she is, well, it's a mystery too. And like I say, this is something, the nice parts about kind of being in areas like this is that you do get these random things that happen. So she's not as young as I first thought. There are a few little nicks on those ears, and that eye has definitely taken some hammerings. But she must be a lioness. Wolfgang, well, there's one thing is that she's contact calling, so she's not letting out full-blooded roar. The second thing is that she's a lioness, so her roar is not going to be as loud as what you're going to hear from a male lion, but you can hear her just slowly kind of calling. She's just listening to a car that's approaching. Just wait for her to... No, there's not really any solid reasons why a lioness would be kicked out of a pride. Unless, of course, she's a young lioness that's trying to escape from potential males that have taken over, which is very seldom that kind of thing happens. It's more probably a case that she's just maybe kind of gotten separated due to a kind of interaction. Maybe that whole sort of situation with her eye is from that particular interaction, is that she got separated somehow, and now it's just about her trying to actually sort of figure out exactly where the rest of her pride is and kind of go and try and find them once again and sort that out. But there's no real reason for lionesses to be kicked out, unless also they leave because the pride is struggling to find food. Then sometimes they'll separate out if the pride gets too big, and a prime example of that is the Salala pride is a good example of that. And I might even think that the Nkuhuma pride goes the same way, because ultimately the Nkuhuma pride is 11 lions. To feed that many lions is going to be very, very tricky. She's beautiful though, isn't she? I think so. Now, the only other lions that I could think of that this could be, if not Talamati or Torchwood, could potentially be one of the Kambula lionesses. Interesting. She's very talkative. I would have thought with the Nkuhuma so close by that they would have come and tried to investigate who this lioness is that's calling. And I say Kambula lioness. Now some of you might think, who is the Kambula lions? We've never even heard anything about these lions. Well, the Kambula pride essentially is a split off from the Salalas. They come from the Mangane females. They're the daughters of the Manganes, and they have set up shop on Mala Mala. And it's possible that one of them maybe has been pushed up this way somehow or some way. There's been an issue and she's ended up in this kind of general vicinity. So it could be one of them, but I don't know. It's tricky. I haven't seen those lionesses in a long, long time. Jasmine, if she ran into the Nkuhumas, would there definitely be a fight? It's possible, but I don't think so. I think in all likelihood. You're going to stop calling now. But I don't think so. I think in all likelihood she would be alright. I don't think she'd have to worry too much. If the Nkuhumas are not moving, then I don't think they're too intrigued by her presence. And so that should stand her in good stead to be able to actually kind of avoid them as much as possible. But if the Nkuhumas did approach this way and did try and kind of go after her, she would have a serious problem on her hands, in that, given that she is by herself, to fight against 11 lions is going to be very, very tricky for her. So she better hope that they don't come this way, and if she does carry on calling like this into the night, I would imagine that eventually the kind of inkumas might find her and kind of interact with her. Giraffe girl does look like she's eaten, doesn't it? It looks like she's got a bit of blood on her face, so maybe she's had something like a little warthog or something like that. It's very possible that she's had one of those kind of meals. Shame girl, are you calling a lot? But isn't that cool? We've been spoilt with all of this audio of her calling. It's been absolutely special, so very, very cool. Right. So all that calling means that she is now quite tired and she's now gone to sleep. And so while she has a bit of a rest, let's send you back across to the Avocas and see what they're up to.
So the Avocas are still now in the middle of the sleep. They are sleeping, I can see deeply now, no movement at all. So, but I'm hoping that they will be active anytime soon as from now. So you can see that their heads are not even moving at all. Now they're sleeping. So you can see when the lions are sleeping, it's difficult to judge if it's an animal or just the bush. You can imagine when this animal is sleeping right inside the tall grass, it won't be easy for the animals to see them. But also just on the ground. Some of the soil types are very much light. So these kind of animals, when they are lying down like this, it does help them in order to digest the food in the stomach quickly. So they are giving the digestive system time in order to consume everything from their bodies. And again, it helps them in order to save energy. They have got a huge responsibility to execute at night, which involves hunting, which involves the territorial patrol. If these lions don't manage this energy efficiently, they are going to be tired when they're supposed to take some actions against some other intruders, and also when they're hunting. Virginia, the Avocas, I don't think they will bother the female lioness because if you check, the females, they are not always on heat. There is specific times whereby these females will be on oestrus when the hormones are at the right level for them to mate. So if the female comes here, yes, they will be going closer to the females to investigate if the condition is right for them to mate with her. And if they find that she is not ready for that, I don't think they will have any problem with her. But if she is on heat, is when they will have to take action and be with her and try to accommodate her for a while. So now I just want to see if we can reposition here. So now let's quickly go to Tristan, who's got the lioness, which is on the move.
She is on the move, so unfortunately there was quite a lot of traffic that came here, and so she got a bit fed up and is moving. And the good thing is that she's coming outside, which is good news, because everybody is hounding her, unfortunately, and so she's kind of heading up and into our sort of area, which is much better news for us. So hopefully she'll continue to stride kind of in a sort of more northerly direction and head up and kind of out or into our traverse again. So she's coming the way she's come, and the way that she's been moving sort of during the course of the day. So it's good news for us. It hopefully is going to mean that she's going to spend a little bit more time on Djuma itself. Hello, girl. Of course, it's delightful with the telephone poles. It's my favorite thing to watch lions around telephone poles. It's the best thing ever. Look how natural that looks. Amazing. Pole of the roof and pole of the telephone line. This is exactly how one wants to see nature, through the eyes of poles. I feel like I'm in a zoo at the moment. It's horrible, to be honest. I hate these poles. If I could do anything in this reserve, it would be to cut down every single one of these telephone poles, push them over, get rid of them, I don't know, do something. And they're not telephone poles, they're electric cables, basically. There's no way around it. But I wish I could get rid of them because I really dislike them. And between that and the roof, and we all know how much I love a roof, it's my absolute favorite is to be on drive with a roof on, and so I'm hoping that we can get rid of them at some point, and the weather will clear up. Of course, if the weather does clear up, it's going to be about 4 million degrees, and so it's probably better that the weather doesn't clear up. Hello, girl. Oh, you are beautiful. Even with your little scratched eye, you're very, very pretty. I like her. I think she's very cool. Always nice to see lions around, and new lions. You know, indeed, the eye is a very old wound. It's not a fresh one. It's healed up already. There's a bit of kind of scarring that you can see there that's starting to heal quite nicely, and so I think she's had that for quite some time. Shame. It's always heartbreaking when you hear them kind of calling like this, looking for their pride and not being able to find them. She's in good condition though, and like we say, she looks like she's had a little meal, so she seems to be in fairly good nick. I'm just going to go forward again and give the guys behind us a chance to kind of get ahead of her, because they were very kind and let us come past. I'm calling again, my girl. Kimberly, indeed, she does look in good condition. You're right. She looks as though she's doing fairly well, even though she's on her own. But a lion of this size will be all right. I mean, they'll be able to find food, and particularly at this time of the year, with all these Impala lambs and warthog piglets, there's a lot of different food items that she's able to actually find and get. And so, she'll be okay. I don't think you need to worry too much about her. It'll just be nice if she can join her pride. Of course, she's in a place where she needs to be able to find food, and there's a lot of other competition, and so having a pride around her is certainly going to help her in that regard. It's going to keep her a lot safer and be able to get bigger meals more frequently. Oh, who are you talking, my girl? Shame. Age Macy, no, we haven't heard a single call back, so there hasn't been any sound from the Nkuhumas. I asked the guys just now if there's been any sound from them. There hasn't been any kind of calls from that side. There's nothing from the Avocas, so no one's responding to her calls at the moment, which means that if it is her pride, they might be quite far away. But like I say, if somebody can if anyone's got ID profiles on the Kambula lionesses, or has got images, and Sevu is the other name, so if you check, I would imagine Mala Londolozi blogs, there should be quite a few photos of those lions. It might be worth just scrounging through those to check in case it could be her. Could be from that area. Like I say, Talamatis and Torchwoods or so, I just don't know them well enough to be able to. Is that it? Just the one? Yes. I don't know those two prides well enough to identify each individual, but I'm not sure. I mean, I would imagine she must be fairly distinctive with that little scar on her eye. I mean, she must have had quite a serious wound there at some point, so somebody must know something about her and where she's from. I mean, she could also be maybe from that pride that was seen recently in Buffelshoek, that pride out of the Manuleti. I can't remember the name now. Forget, but it's a new pride to this area, so maybe she's one of those. I don't know. The thing is that she came from Chitwa this morning, so it's the lioness that came from Chitwa and has moved into this area and kind of now moving south again, so I'd imagine she's one of the southern prides rather than a northern pride. Maybe she's trying to tell us and we just don't understand lion. But so nice. What a special sighting this is, to hear her calling like this and to making all this noise. The problem is I think she is going to go south at some point, and obviously when she does, that's going to be into Little Gowrie, which is not ideal for us in any way at all. But at this stage she is settled, which is good, and so hopefully we'll kind of have her for a while longer. In the meantime, though, back to the Avoca boys. Hopefully they'll follow her lead and they'll also start to squeak and make a bit of noise.
So the Avoca boys, I'm sure if they meet that female with Tristan, they are going to charm that female. As you can see, they are very much beautiful boys. But at the moment, they are just sleeping and doing nothing. Maybe later on when they start roaring, the female might get attracted. Or if that female moves much more towards this direction, they might pick up a presence here nearby, and we might see that kind of an engagement between them and that female. The possibilities are there. We just have to expect unexpected. They are very far away from each other at the moment, but I can promise you they can meet at any time here. So Becky, I didn't get your question nicely. So the cat I would like to see one of the good days here in Juma, a cat that I have seen before, but here not yet, is the caracal. I haven't seen the caracal yet here, and it's quite a very lovely cat. Yes, they are very much aggressive, but they are so beautiful as well with their beautiful ears. So it will be very great. That is something I cannot wait for. But hopefully I will see the caracal one of the good days. So the weather is changing now, is getting very, very cold. Maybe it's when these lions are going to get encouraged in order to now carry on and move on to where they are going to do their activities for tonight. So now let's quickly cross over back to Tristan.
We are still with our lion, but there she goes. I'm afraid she's going to cross southwards fairly shortly. She's just standing between us and another vehicle, as you can see, with our delightful pole once again, and now we've even got an aerial in the pole too. Hello, lioness. Who are you and what are you been doing in this area? Shame, my girl. A few little cuts and scrapes on her neck as well. That seems as though there's a bit of blood coming from them. So I think she's had a bit of a meal and maybe something nicked her on the neck there. You can see that little spot. There's a little hole there. Where are you going? I wonder who she could be. How cool is that sound? So epic to hear that. Very, very cool to hear that. Wow, what a nice surprise for the afternoon, to be honest. And just to think, we have been struggling through the course of today, and to have that is a really lovely way to finish our day, kind of calling of a lioness, and to watch her just stroll around so close to us is a very special thing for sure. Now I'm going to get one last view of her for us quickly before we finish up for the day. Lorena, you say these lions need name tags? Yes, we need to give them little color-coded collars for each pride, and then each one has a name tag with its individual name on it. That would be ideal, but there we go. She's going to hopefully settle down there and give us one last view. So, sorry, David, I know I moved us a bit late there, but anyway, it's been a wonderful afternoon. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. We have a rehearsal, so we're going to say goodbye for now. But from Sydney, myself and David, hope you all have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow morning for our sunrise safari.